Good afternoon and welcome back to Salam Media Highlights with myself, Salalo Makwidiri. And today we'll be catching up with Hassan Choonara, the Regional Director of Africa Muslims Agency, who's currently in Syria. I spoke with him earlier this week and he's here to give us an update on the ongoing humanitarian efforts that Africa Muslims Agency is currently working on as thousands and thousands of refugees return home to different parts of Syria to find their neighborhoods in ruins. If you follow Salam Media closely, you'd would have seen the pictures of that live video interview that we had with him Wednesday morning, if I'm not mistaken, and it was just devastation. I think at a scale that Syria has never seen before. And he's joining us telephonically live from Syria right now. Hassan, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us again. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and to the listeners, viewers of Salam Media. Shukran for having us once again on your show. I'm going to pass the phone to my colleague, Reverend Munir Amanji, who will continue with the interview, inshallah.
I mean, I think, the genesis of our interview could be, just taking over from the last conversation we had, where we spoke about, refugees returning home back to different parts of Syria, trying to rebuild, trying to pick up pieces of their lives that have been destroyed by, decades and decades of this war. What's the latest that you can tell us right now? If you can just paint a picture, for our listeners on what you guys are currently witnessing right now in the conditions that you're seeing in Syria at this current moment.
Okay, so as we've arrived in Lebanon to the refugee camps, there had been already a few families that were already packed up, moving their tents back to their homeland in Syria. As we arrived in Syria to a city called Al-Qusayr, we noticed that there were some families that had settled down in the same tents that they were in the Lebanese refugee camps. Alhamdulillah, their hopes of finding their homes up and standing were destroyed as they arrived to rubble where their homes once stood. However, they've now erected their tents there and have now called that their home in the hopes, inshallah, of rebuilding and creating a new life.
And just looking at some of the needs that you've identified at this current moment, I'm sure there are long-term needs that you guys have looked at, and I'm sure Africa Muslims Agency will be tackling. But at this current moment, right now, as there's these movements, people are trying to rebuild their lives and pick up those pieces. What are some of the immediate needs that you've identified and will be delivering to those people that are in need currently?
So the current need at the moment is food and water. As you may be aware as well, the Africa Muslim Agency has got a Meals of Mercy campaign, 23 nations, one table. We're trying to also obviously cover as much of Syria as we can with the food. The farmlands are in dire need of water, and boreholes or water wells are also needed. Families that are still in the refugee camps that would like to come back and would want to come back to their homeland in Syria would need assistance in packing up and transporting their goods and tents back to their homes.
And as a South African, most of the times when we see Syria and Gaza and other places, even here on the African continent, that have been ravaged by whether it's natural disasters or it's all kinds of wars and conflicts, it's almost difficult to imagine what it's like when you're there, because we're fairly comfortable here in South Africa. You don't see the things that you see in those part of the world. For you personally, how is it being at the eye of the storm, being on the ground, and seeing firsthand just how devastating these conflicts can be, and the pain and destruction that they can inflict on human beings that are just like you and me?
Line is gone.
Hello?
Yes, we are Salala.
Yes, I'm still here. Are you guys able to hear me? Did you get my question?
I need to repeat it for me, Salala.
Yes. I was just asking, just psychologically, being, at the heart of, the devastation, being there physically and witnessing, firsthand, just how difficult the people of Syria, the kind of conditions that they're living in. How was it for you, and how can you narrate it to our audience who are maybe in South Africa or are in other parts of the world, which are fairly comfortable and have not witnessed firsthand what these conflicts and some of the natural disasters that happen across the world, the kind of destruction that they bring. If you can just paint a picture, for people that maybe won't have the opportunity to visit a Syria or a Gaza, but would like to know more and contribute to it.
No, I don't know exactly how to describe this. It's the first time that I've been in a ex-war zone. Entering into the city looked like a ghost town. As we drove in, buildings crumbled to rubble, sheer rubble. If you can imagine, if they were demolishing a home to put up a new home in South Africa, all that amount of rubble that just lay there. Picture that times maybe 1,000, even 10,000. It's just sheer utter destruction. The whole area is destroyed. For the few buildings that are still standing, people are making homes in them. Schools have been destroyed. Hospitals totally demolished. The farmlands, the orchards that we went to, or where there were orchards once, all the trees have been uprooted, and there's just sand everywhere. It's heartbreaking to see that, but at the same time, the Syrians that are returning are hopeful of building a new future, and also you see the joy in the children who've never seen their homelands. You see that joy of them, even though they have to live in these conditions. The joy is there and the hope is there for, inshallah, one day having a beautiful land to stay in.
And I think you mentioned something quite important. Your interactions with the people from Syria. What kind of people are they? What kind of energy are they emitting right now? Considering that this is a new chapter for them and their country. They are returning back home, as you mentioned. They are kids, young children that have never been in their own homelands. What are you gathering from them? What kind of energy are they emitting?
So, line, Salala, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, so there are a few homes that we managed to visit. There were orphans in some homes. There were still entire families in the other homes. But the one thing I can say is the hospitality they showed. With little to nothing, they sat us down. They gave us their stories. They made us some tea and insisted we drink the tea before leaving. Someone has nothing, yet their hearts are so big. There was a child by the name of Amina. She had the hopes of returning to her home. Her mother had painted a picture of the home because she's just 10 years old, so they left before as the war started. So she didn't exactly know what her home looked like. And she was very excited to return to her home. And when they got there, they found just a heap of rubble.
Wow.
However, they then constructed the tent that they had there, and they're now living in a tent. And she's sent us, or she drew, her and her sister drew us a few pictures with a broken Syria, but with a few hearts that have been mended and some trees that are growing, and that just touched our hearts to say that they are hopeful.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Let's talk about some of the projects that Africa Muslims Agency will be embarking on now, and how can the people of South Africa, the people listening to us from every corner of the world, can contribute into. We know that Ramadan is a few weeks away, and there's going to be a big need that you guys are going to be responding to.
Yes, the current projects on Meals of Mercy, giving the food baskets, the Bread of Hope project is key and critical in these countries, in these situations. At least families will have the bread to give the children, to give the widows and the families if they don't have any means for food. And also the construction of boreholes in Syria. We've visited so many sites today where, water facilities have been destroyed and damaged. And, especially the farmlands not having access to water for the orchards and the trees, etc. And families are finding difficult to be self-sustaining, especially in the rural areas. And so boreholes are key. So the construction of boreholes, the Bread of Hope project is important, and the Meals of Mercy campaign. 23 nations, one table, Syria being one of them. And we ask the viewers and listeners to share of your iftar table, to share of your suhoor table, and you show mercy unto those who are in need, and surely Allah will show mercy unto us as well. Whilst we are having our iftar and suhoor, not the reward that somebody else in the world will also be benefiting and partaking from what you have donated, and the reward Allah knows.
And we'll definitely be sharing Africa Muslims Agents contact details where people can find you. And I'm looking forward to chatting to you again so that you guys can give us an update. And maybe next time we can be visual, and our viewers and listeners can see just firsthand what you guys are witnessing on that front. But we're going to leave it here for now. Really appreciate it.
Africa Muslims Agency.co.za +2783 251 976 to contact details, visit our website or any one of the offices and consultants around the country. And we more wanted to share information of the situation on the ground here in Syria as well as in other parts of the world. Allah minna minkum, shukran for having us on the show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just so much. That was Hafiz, Hassan, Choonara, and the Africa Muslims Agency team that is currently on the ground in Syria, and they're part and parcel of the efforts of rebuilding Syria, from the rubble, helping families pick up pieces of themselves, helping families return to their homelands. I think that was a very, very emotional story of a young child who was a refugee in Lebanon, a little girl who has never seen the country that she's from, and I'm imagining that. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, and being away from South Africa, being away from my homeland, and being told stories about it and how beautiful it is. And when I get back and when I return, it's just rubble. Okay, just think about that for a moment. It's just nothingness. It's just obliterated. And these images that you've had for probably your whole life, these stories that you've been hearing from your parents and your family telling you how beautiful it is, it's just not the same. And you can be a part of that. You can be a part of helping those little young children try and rebuild their home, to try and rebuild Gaza, Syria, and try and re-find and rekindle that spirit of having a nation, having a country, having a place to call your own. And you can do that by helping the efforts of Africa Muslims Agency. Their website, www.africamuslimsagency.org. You can search them on their various social media platforms, and you can be part of making that difference. We're going to leave it here for now. There has been Salam Media Highlights with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. I will be with you again on Monday. You can keep tuned on Salam Media's various social media pages. You can get updates on everything and anything that you need to know that's happening all across the world. Enjoy your weekend. It's been a brilliant one from myself, Salailo and Polane. Shap shap.